I'm 71 years old, and until 18 months ago, I thought I understood how the world worked. I thought I knew my family. I thought the house my wife, Sarah, and I bought in 1978 would be mine until I died. I was wrong about all three. My name is Robert Anderson, but everyone calls me Bob. I worked at the Plymouth manufacturing plant for 43 years before retiring. Nothing fancy, just honest work that put food on the table and paid off our mortgage. Sarah passed 3 years ago this December. Pancreatic cancer, 6 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. Some nights I still reach across the bed, forgetting she's gone. We had one son, David. He married Jennifer 8 years ago, and they have a boy, Tommy, who just turned 6. After Sarah died, they started coming around more often. I appreciated it. The house felt too quiet without her humming in the kitchen or calling me in for dinner. Jennifer would bring casseroles. David would help with yard work. Tommy would show me his drawings from school. It was Jennifer who first mentioned the taxes. We were sitting at my kitchen table last March. David was outside teaching Tommy how to throw a baseball. Spring was just breaking through the winter cold. Jennifer poured us both coffee and sat across from me, her hands wrapped around the mug. "Bob, can I talk to you about something serious?" she asked. Her voice had that concerned tone that made my chest tighten. "Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind?" She leaned forward. "David and I have been worried about you, about your financial situation." I frowned. "My financial situation? I'm doing fine. The pension covers everything I need." "That's not what I mean." She glanced toward the window where David was playing with Tommy. "We've been talking to an estate attorney. Did you know that when you pass, David will have to pay massive inheritance taxes on this house? We're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars." My coffee suddenly tasted bitter. Hundreds of thousands? The house is worth at least $450,000 now. Maybe more. And with how estate taxes work, David could lose almost half of that to the government. It would force him to sell just to pay the taxes. Your grandson would lose his grandfather's house. Her eyes were shining. Sarah's house. The mention of Sarah made my throat constrict. This house was full of her, the garden she planted, the colors she chose for the walls, the spot on the couch where she always sat to read. "What can I do about it?" I asked quietly. Jennifer reached across and squeezed my hand. "There's a way to protect the house. If you gift it to David now, before you pass, there's no inheritance tax. It's called estate planning. Wealthy people do it all the time. You'd still live here, of course. Nothing would change for you, but legally, the house would be David's, and when the time comes, Tommy would inherit his grandfather's home without losing half of it to taxes." It made sense. I'm not a smart man, but I understood protecting what Sarah and I built, protecting it for Tommy. "You're sure nothing would change for me?" I asked. "Absolutely nothing. You'd still live here, still pay the utilities like always. We'd just file some paperwork to protect Tommy's inheritance. The attorney said this is the smartest thing families can do." David came inside then, Tommy bouncing beside him. "What are you two conspiring about?" he asked with a smile. "Just talking about the house," Jennifer said smoothly. "Bob, why don't you think about it? No pressure. We just want what's best for you and for Tommy's future." I thought about it for 2 weeks. Every time I walked through the house, I imagined Tommy growing up, maybe bringing his own kids here someday. Sarah would have wanted that. She loved that boy fiercely. I called Jennifer and told her I wanted to move forward. She was delighted. "You're doing the right thing, Bob. Tommy is so lucky to have you." She arranged everything. The attorney was a colleague of hers from her real estate office, she said. Very trustworthy. The paperwork came by courier. Jennifer walked me through every page, showing me where to sign. There were a lot of signatures. "Is all this necessary?" I asked, my hand cramping from signing my name so many times. "Estate law is complicated," she assured me, "but we're almost done. Just a few more pages." I signed everything. The documents went back to the attorney. Jennifer hugged me and said she'd file everything at the courthouse. 2 weeks later, she brought me copies of the recorded deed. My name was gone. David's name was on the title. "All done," she said brightly. "Tommy's inheritance is protected." I felt strange looking at that deed, but I reminded myself nothing had changed. I was still in my house, still had my routines, still watered Sarah's roses every evening. Everything changed in July. It was a hot Tuesday morning. I was drinking coffee on the front porch when Jennifer's BMW pulled into the driveway. She wasn't smiling. David wasn't with her. She walked up the porch steps carrying a cardboard box. "Bob, we need to talk." "Sure, come on in. I'll get you some iced tea." "I won't be staying long." She set the box down on the porch. "I'm sorry to do this, but you need to be out by the end of the month." I stared at her. Out? Out of the house. David and I have decided to sell it. The market is really strong right now, and we need the equity. We've got Tommy's private school tuition, and frankly, this house is worth too much to just let it sit with one person living in it. My mouth went dry. "But you said nothing would change. You said I'd still live here." That was before we realized how much financial pressure we're under. Plans change, Bob. This is David's house now, and we've made our decision. "Where does David think I'm supposed to go?" Jennifer's expression hardened. "David agrees with me. We've discussed it extensively. You have a month. I brought some boxes to help you start packing." She gestured to the cardboard box. "I'm sorry, but that's how it is." She left before I could respond, her BMW kicking up dust as she reversed out of the driveway. I sat on that porch for 3 hours, staring at the box. This couldn't be happening. I called David's cell phone. It went to voicemail. I called again, and again. Finally, on the 5th call, he picked up. "Dad, I can't talk right now." "David, your wife was just here. She says I have to move out. Tell me she's wrong." Silence stretched between us. Then, quietly, "Dad, it's complicated. Jennifer handles our finances. She says we need to sell the house. I'm sorry, but we're drowning in debt. Tommy's school alone is $30,000 a year. Then take him out of that school." "This is my home, David. Your mother's home. It's my house, Dad. Legally. You signed it over. I have to do what's best for my family." "I am your family." "I'm sorry." His voice cracked. "But you have to understand our position. We'll help you find an apartment or something. Maybe one of those senior living places." "Senior living?" "David, those places cost more than my pension. I can't afford that." "Then you'll figure something out. You always do." "I have to go. Jennifer's calling me." He hung up. I tried calling back. He didn't answer again. The next morning, I drove to Jennifer and David's house across town. Jennifer answered the door but didn't invite me in. "Bob, you really shouldn't be here. I need to talk to my son. He doesn't want to talk to you. You're being difficult about this whole situation, and it's putting stress on our marriage. We made a generous offer to let you stay through the end of July. Many people would have just changed the locks." "Generous? Jennifer, please, this is a misunderstanding. I thought the house was just for tax purposes." I thought. "You thought wrong. Now please leave before I call the police." She closed the door in my face. I stood there on her porch, 71 years old, and realized I'd been played, conned, swindled by my own son and his wife. The word homeless kept echoing in my head as I drove back to the house that was no longer mine. I called every legal aid office in the county. They all told me the same thing. If I willingly signed over the deed, I had no legal standing. One paralegal was kind enough to explain that what Jennifer had done was called elder financial abuse, but proving it in court would require expensive lawyers and years of litigation I couldn't afford. "Did you have a lawyer review the documents before you signed?" she asked. "No." Jennifer said her attorney colleague handled everything. "I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson. Without evidence of fraud or coercion, you signed away your house. You'd need to prove undue influence, which is very difficult." I thanked her and hung up, feeling like the world's biggest fool. My friend Tom from the plant offered me his spare room. "Just until you get on your feet," he said gruffly, embarrassed by my situation. I packed what I could fit in my truck, 43 years of marriage reduced to boxes. I left Sarah's garden behind. Her roses were blooming beautiful and pink, like they didn't know their mother was dead and their home was being stolen. On my last day in the house, I walked through every room. I touched the walls Sarah had painted. I stood in the kitchen where she'd made thousands of meals. I sat on the back porch where we'd watched sunsets together. In the bedroom, I opened her jewelry box. I'd been avoiding it, unable to face her absence made tangible. Inside were the simple pieces she loved: her wedding ring, a pearl necklace from our anniversary, some costume jewelry, and at the bottom, her watch. The Timex I'd bought her for her 50th birthday because she was always asking me what time it was. I picked it up, and something rattled inside. Frowning, I examined it more closely. The back panel was slightly loose. I pried it open with my fingernail, and a small USB drive fell into my palm. It was wrapped in a tiny piece of paper secured with tape. My hands shook as I unfolded the paper. Sarah's handwriting. Bob, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you're in trouble. Check safety deposit box 447 at Midwest Savings Bank. Key is taped inside the jewelry box lid. I love you. I tried to warn you about Jennifer. S. I stood there, the watch in one hand, the note in the other, tears streaming down my face. I felt Sarah in that room with me, still trying to take care of me even from beyond death. I checked the jewelry box lid. Sure enough, a small key was taped there, hidden where only someone really looking would find it. The next morning, I drove to Midwest Savings Bank with Tom. I didn't tell him why. I wasn't sure what I'd find, if anything. Sarah had been sick those last weeks. Maybe this was confused thinking from the pain medications. But when I gave the banker the key and box number, she led me to a private room and brought out a metal box. I opened it alone. Inside were documents, lots of them. I started reading, and my breath caught. The first document was a copy of our original property deed, the one with both our names on it. Clipped to it was a handwritten note from Sarah, dated 2 months before she died. Bob, I don't trust Jennifer. I've caught her going through our financial papers twice when she thought I was sleeping. I heard her on the phone once talking about our house value and how it would solve their problems. I called our old attorney, Martin Brooks, and had him make copies of everything. I also recorded some conversations. If Jennifer ever tries to take our house, you'll need proof of what we intended. Don't let her steal what we built. I love you so much. Fight for us. Sarah. Beneath that were more documents. Copies of our original will. Copies of Sarah's medical records showing she was of sound mind until the very end. Financial statements showing the house was paid off and unencumbered. And then I found the USB drive duplicates apparently Sarah had made backups. I plugged one into the bank's courtesy computer. Audio files. Dozens of them. I clicked the first one. Sarah's voice filled the room, and I nearly broke down. July 12th. Recording in case I need it. Jennifer came by again today while Bob was at the store. She asked me again about the house, what our plans were for it. When I said David would inherit it eventually, she said, "That's a terrible tax situation, you know. Bob could lose half the value. She's trying to manipulate us." I pretended not to understand. She got frustrated and left. I don't think she knows I'm recording these conversations. I went through file after file. Sarah had documented everything: Jennifer's visits, her financial questions, even conversations where Jennifer had suggested Bob might be getting confused and might need help managing his affairs. In one recording, I heard Jennifer say to Sarah, "When you're gone, Bob will need someone to guide him. He's not equipped to handle complex financial decisions." Sarah's response was sharp. "My husband is perfectly capable, and this house will be his until he decides otherwise. Not you, not David Bob's decision." There was a final audio file dated 3 days before Sarah died. Her voice was weak but determined. "Bob, my love, if you're hearing this, then my worst fears came true. Jennifer got to you after I was gone. I tried to warn you, but I know how much you want to trust family. You always see the best in people. It's one of the reasons I love you. But Jennifer isn't family, she's a predator. I've documented everything I could. Take these recordings to a lawyer. Martin Brooks knows our situation. He said if Jennifer tried anything like this, it might constitute elder financial abuse and fraud. The recordings prove we never intended to give the house away, that she manipulated you when you were grieving and vulnerable. Fight back, my darling. Don't let her win. Tommy deserves better than to be raised by a mother who would steal from his grandfather. I love you forever, Sarah." I sat in that bank room and sobbed. Tom drove me to Martin Brooks's office that afternoon. Martin was retired but had known Sarah and me for 30 years. When I explained everything and showed him the evidence, his expression turned hard. "This is elder abuse, Bob. Clear as day. She isolated you when you were grieving, lied about the tax implications, and coerced you into signing documents you didn't understand. Sarah's recordings prove your state of mind and Jennifer's predatory behavior. But I signed the deed. Everyone says I have no case. You signed under false pretenses based on fraudulent claims. That's different. With this evidence, we can petition to void the deed transfer. It won't be quick or easy, but you have a real case." He paused. "It'll cost money. Do you have savings?" I thought of my dwindling bank account. Not enough for a long legal fight. Martin leaned back in his chair. "Sarah was a good woman. She helped my wife through her cancer. I'll take your case pro bono. Let's get your house back." The lawsuit took 4 months. Jennifer fought viciously. Her lawyer tried everything, claiming Sarah's recordings were invalid, arguing that I was completely mentally competent when I signed, suggesting I had buyer's remorse about a legitimate estate planning transaction. But Sarah's meticulous documentation was devastating. The recordings proved Jennifer had lied about the tax implications. A tax attorney testified that my estate wouldn't have owed significant inheritance taxes. Jennifer's entire premise was fraudulent. The recordings also showed Jennifer had intentionally isolated me from getting independent legal advice. The breakthrough came when Martin subpoenaed Jennifer's financial records. She and David were drowning in debt, credit cards maxed out, Tommy's private school tuition unpaid for 2 terms, a second mortgage on their own house. They'd been planning to sell my house to clear their debts. In one email, Martin's investigator uncovered, Jennifer had written to David, "Once your mom dies, your dad will be easy to manipulate. Old people are always worried about taxes. We can get him to sign over the house and flip it within 6 months. Should clear about $300,000 after everything, enough to save us." David had responded, "Are you sure? That feels wrong." Jennifer wrote back, "It's survival. He's old. He'll die in a few years anyway, and we'll inherit it then. This just accelerates the timeline. Would you rather lose Tommy's school and our house? Your dad will be fine. He's got his pension." When those emails came out in court, the case turned. The judge was a woman in her 60s who'd been taking notes throughout the proceedings. When it was time for her ruling, she removed her glasses and looked directly at Jennifer and David. "In 30 years on the bench, I've seen many cases of elder abuse. This is among the most callous. Mrs. Anderson, you deliberately targeted your vulnerable father-in-law during his period of grief. You lied about tax law. You isolated him from independent advice. You manipulated him into signing away his most valuable asset under false pretenses. And you did all of this while pretending to care about his welfare and his grandson's future." She turned to David. "Mr. Anderson, you stood by while your wife abused your father. Those emails show you had misgivings, but you allowed it to proceed because you prioritized your financial problems over your father's security. Your mother warned you about this, and still you participated." The judge ruled the deed transfer was void due to fraud and undue influence. The house was mine again. She also ordered Jennifer and David to pay legal fees and damages for emotional distress. But the biggest shock came at the end. I'm also referring this case to the district attorney's office for potential criminal prosecution. Elder financial abuse is a crime in this state, Mrs. Anderson. You may face charges. Jennifer went pale. David stared at the table. I left the courtroom with Martin and Tom. I'd won, but I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. 3 weeks later, David called me. I almost didn't answer. "Dad?" His voice was small. "Can we talk?" "About what?" "About everything. About what we did. What I did." He was crying. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I was weak. I let Jennifer convince me it was okay, that you'd be fine, that we deserved it because of our debt. I was wrong. I betrayed you. I betrayed Mom." I closed my eyes. "Yes, you did." Jennifer and I are separating. After the trial, I couldn't look at her the same way. My lawyer thinks she might face criminal charges. Tommy asks about you all the time. He doesn't understand why we can't visit Grandpa anymore. You kept him from me. Jennifer said it would be too confusing while the lawsuit was happening. I should have fought her on it. I should have fought her on all of it. His voice broke completely. "Dad, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But please, can Tommy see you? He misses you so much. He drew you a picture of you and him playing baseball. He keeps it by his bed. I thought about Sarah, about the recordings she'd made, about her voice saying Tommy deserves better than to be raised by a mother who would steal from his grandfather. She was right. Tommy was innocent in all this. "Bring him by on Saturday," I said quietly. "Noon. You can stay for an hour." "Thank you," David whispered. "Thank you, Dad." They came that Saturday. Tommy ran up the porch steps and threw himself into my arms, nearly knocking me over. "Grandpa, I missed you so much. Dad said you were sick, but you look okay." I held my grandson tight and looked at David over his head. David's eyes were red-rimmed, his face gaunt. He looked 10 years older than the last time I'd seen him. We went inside. Tommy wanted to see if his drawings were still on my refrigerator. They were exactly where he'd left them. He wanted to see Grandma Sarah's roses. He wanted to throw the baseball. David and I sat on the back porch while Tommy played in the yard. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, David said, "The house looks the same. I try to keep it how your mother liked it." "I'm glad." He paused. "I'm seeing a therapist, trying to understand how I let things get so bad, how I betrayed you. You chose your wife over your father. Some would say that's what you're supposed to do. Not when she's wrong, not when she's hurting people I love." He looked at me. "Jennifer's lawyer is talking plea deals. If she's convicted, she could get up to 3 years. Her real estate license is already suspended. Our debts are being handled in bankruptcy. I'm working 2 jobs to keep Tommy in a decent school district." I didn't respond. Part of me felt satisfied. Part of me just felt sad. "Can I ask you something?" David said. "How did you know to fight back? After Mom died, you seemed so lost. I thought..." He stopped. "You thought I'd be easy to manipulate," I finished. "I was. Your wife was right about that. But your mother..." My voice caught. "Your mother knew. Even while she was dying, she was protecting me. She left me everything I needed to prove what really happened." David's face crumpled. "She tried to warn me, too. The last time I visited her in hospice, she took my hand and said, 'David, watch out for your father after I'm gone. Jennifer isn't who you think she is.' I told her she was confused from the medication, but she wasn't confused at all. No, she wasn't." We watched Tommy chase a butterfly through the garden. Sarah's roses swayed in the breeze. "Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" David asked. I considered the question honestly. "I don't know. What you did, it broke something between us. Maybe it can heal someday. Maybe not. But Tommy deserves his grandfather, and you're trying to make amends. That counts for something. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you'll let me. Let's start with Saturdays. Bring Tommy here every Saturday. You can stay if you want, or you can leave. But Tommy gets to know his grandfather and his grandmother's house. Deal?" "Deal." David wiped his eyes. "Thank you, Dad." The criminal case against Jennifer took another 6 months. She eventually pleaded guilty to elder financial abuse and fraud. She got 18 months in a minimum security facility and 5 years probation. Her lawyer argued for leniency because she was a first-time offender and a mother. The judge countered that being a mother made her actions worse. Not better, she'd modeled criminal behavior to her child and stolen from his grandfather. David got full custody of Tommy. Jennifer's parents were horrified by what she'd done and sided with David in the divorce. She won't be part of Tommy's life for a long time, maybe forever. As for me, I'm still in the house. Sarah's roses bloom every summer. Tommy comes over every Saturday like clockwork, and usually twice during the week after school. David and I are slowly rebuilding trust. It's not what it was, and maybe it never will be, but we're trying. I think about Sarah every day. I talk to her sometimes. When I'm alone, I tell her thank you. I tell her I'm sorry I didn't listen when she tried to warn me about Jennifer. I tell her I miss her desperately. Last month, I was going through some of Sarah's old things and found one more recording I'd missed before. It was labeled "For Bob After." I almost didn't play it, but I needed to hear her voice. The recording started with her familiar throat-clearing sound she always made before speaking. "Bob, my darling, if you're listening to this, then my plan worked. You fought back. You got our house back. I'm so proud of you. I know this has been hard. I know you probably feel foolish for being tricked, but don't. Jennifer is a skilled manipulator, and you were grieving. Anyone would have been vulnerable. What matters is that you found the strength to fight. That's my Bob kind, trusting, but strong when it counts. I want you to know that even though I'm gone, I'm still with you. In that house, in the garden, in every sunset on the back porch. Keep living, my love. Keep being kind, even when people hurt you. But remember, trust, yes, but verify. I love you forever. I'll see you again someday. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of our house. And if David deserves it, forgive him eventually. He's weak, but he's not evil. Mostly he's young and scared and married to the wrong woman. Give him a chance to grow up. I love you, Bob. Thank you for 46 beautiful years, Sarah. I sat there in the quiet house, crying like I hadn't cried since her funeral. But they weren't only sad tears. They were grateful tears. Sarah saved me. Even in death, she was still taking care of me, still protecting our life together, still guiding me through the darkness. I'm 71 years old, and I've learned that love doesn't end with death. Real love, deep, committed, decades-long love transcends everything. It leaves traces. It makes plans. It protects. Sarah's love built a fortress around me even after she was gone. And every day I stay in this house, in our home, I feel her presence. She kept her promise. She made sure I'd be okay. And I am.